You know when you watch those dinosaur movies and there's paleontologists out in the desert, it's windy, it's dirty, there's a sense of adventure about it? I don't think they're too far off from the truth.
That is the truth.
Here with Bill Hefner, the man that found this site. This is the middle of nowhere. How'd you come across this?
Well, we found this site, as we find most of our sites. People who I call friends of the museum, in this case Richard, came to us and said, I found some stuff that looks like dinosaur bone. And sure enough, he had found some bone in a hard formation down here that we looked at.
If anybody's out hiking around and they come across what they think is a fossil or bone, what's the procedure? What do we need to do to help you guys out?
Well, two things. The legal aspect of it, if it's a vertebrate fossil, a critter that had a vertebrae, you can't legally collect it. It's protected. It's on public lands, and all of this is BLM land, so therefore it's protected. So if you were to come to me and say, hey, I was out riding my ATV and I said, I'm sure that was fossil bone and I got a GPS of it and here's a digital photograph, that's perfect. That leads us back to it, and we can go look at it and see if it's worth collecting. But if you pick it up and you bring it into the museum and say, is this fossil bone? You provided us with the bone, but we've lost all the information around it. So you notice that bones aren't just being yanked out of the quarry. They're being exposed, and then they get mapped and photographed, and the orientation of one bone to another can tell us a lot about that bone, and all that information gets lost the moment it's yanked out of the ground and brought in. It's better to leave it in place, document where you found it, either bring us back to that site or give us good GPS coordinates and a great photograph if possible, and we'll go out and look at it.
Most of the bones taken from this area will be on display in one of the many natural history museums of Utah. But don't think static displays is all you'll get. Okay, we're at the Utah Natural History Museum in Salt Lake City, where they've created a program to bring these old bones to life. Want to see some dinosaurs, buddy? The Utah Natural History Museum has many different exhibits, but we're here for a live show.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on here at the museum. Most notably our museum theater piece called The Dino Show. And in it we feature a ceratopsian that we recently discovered in the Grand Staircase Escalante.
Fourth, the ceratopsian!
This is the ceratopsian that I was telling you guys about. Now, I know that it looks to some of you really scary, but it's not scary. In fact, it's really, really friendly. And it was such a cool story that we decided to create an interactive museum theater children's piece that talks about what life was like during the late Cretaceous and a little bit of what this animal was like. But some paleontologists think that they used this frill to help intimidate their predators. So I have an idea. I would like to test a hypothesis, and I need your help. Why don't we create that family group that I was talking about before? I want you to put your knees together like this, and I want you to bare your mighty ceratopsian horns. Yes, excellent. Okay. And it's a really good way to get up close and personal to a dinosaur and get a sense of what it would be like to stand right next to a dinosaur.
There you go. You pet his horn? It's a nice dinosaur. See? See, you didn't bite Scout's arm off. The really cool thing about natural history museums is they have permanent exhibits like this, but they also have new programs and exhibits that are constantly changing. So check back with your local natural history museum for upcoming events and programs.
What's your question, hon?
When dinosaurs lived, did they bump into cactuses or anything?
Well, that's a very good question. They didn't bump into cactuses because cactuses weren't around yet. But there were a lot of other plants with sharp, prickly things on there. Like the monkey puzzle trees, they had leaves that had little spines on the end of them, just like a cactus. So they didn't bump into cactuses, but there were sharp things for them to bump into.
Tell me about fossil hunting in this area. What should we look for, and how can we identify fossils?
Well, the easiest way to identify fossils is by texture. A bone, whether it's fossilized or recent, looks like a bone. It has the same texture on the surface, it's got the same texture on the inside. Just texture is what you're looking for.
So what kind of ancient life forms can you collect? Can you pick up and handle?
Anything that's invertebrate. You can pick up shells, you can pick up cephalopods, like nautilus. And you can pick up fossil wood. There's limits to how much you can pick up. I believe it's 50 pounds a day and 250 pounds a year from the Park Service without having a permit, or BLM without having a permit.
So fossil hunting in this area has become a pretty popular recreational activity, wouldn't you say?
Yes, very much so.
And for one family, it's a part of daily living out here in the desert.